Chapter 18. Euphus Lightpaw was really enjoying himself. He lay flat on the high bough of an alder, watching Gulo the Savage and his vermin bands scouring the woodlands beneath. The watervole was not only an expert thief, but also a clever tactician. He knew that when he left the vermin camp carrying the objects he had stolen, the white foxes and ermine would be on his trail. So Euphus left them a trail, not back to his dwelling on the lakeside, but to a clear track to the east. It delighted him to play games. He would leave marks of the sword point scraping and the banner brushing. From his various secret spots throughout Mossflower, Euphus would watch them getting more frustrated. Little did he realise that the trail he was leaving resembled that of a wolverine. Fools and idiots, thinking they were tracking him to his home. As long as they followed, Euphus Lightpaw would lead them on a merry trail, and whenever they halted at night, he would sneak into their camp and steal some more booty. Euphus watched the vermin, figuring out his next move, whilst murmuring softly to himself, come on now, you great thick-headed goblins. I'll be drawing rings round you, and you'll never know how to play my game. Sure, I think a little jaunt over the ditch and across the old path is called for. That'll wear your paws down a bit. You'll sleep all the better for it tonight while I'm robbing you. After the vermin had moved on, Euphus came down from his perch. He could hear Gulo berating his creatures threateningly. "You're addleblades and bumblers. Find that trail or you'll be leaving a trail of your own blood if you try my patience further." Euphus cut off in an arc, crossing the ditch and path ahead of the vermin scouts. He artfully laid fresh marks on the east side of the woodlands, scarring one or two trees with his stolen sickle blade and bruising some lower bushes whilst dragging the flag over the grass. Then he backtracked to the path, shinned up a thick cracked willow tree and peered at the leading scouts, who were blundering about only a few spear lengths short of the ditch. Snapping the string on one of his purloined necklaces, the crafty watervole tossed shells and coloured stones down onto the path. He saved a few of the biggest beads and placed them in the tongue of his sling. Grick, the ermine tracker, was foraging a few paces ahead of the rest when an amber bead struck him lightly on the footpaw. "Over here! He passed this way, look!" The white fox captain Urfig rushed past Grick, scrambling his way over the ditch and onto the path. "Look, shells and beads. These are off my necklet. Derek, hurry and tell mighty Gulo that I found the trail again. Methinks it goes east into this forest." In a short time, Gulo and his beasts were into the east forest, discovering the clues which Euphus had left them. The vole thief descended from the willow, chuckling. "Off you go now, you raving idiots. Run yourselves ragged around the trees. Sure, I'll pay you a call tonight while you're all asleep." Euphus recrossed the path and scrambled down into the ditch. He settled down in safety to take a nap. Scarcely had he closed his eyes when he heard the sound of some beasts coming down the path from the north. Keeping low, the watervole peered over the ditch edge. Armel and Brookie had rope halters about their necks. Furwool and Brugil, the two ermine scouts, were leading them. The squirrel maid and the otter maid were well hemmed in by Captain Shard and the rest of the vermin. The group halted right opposite where Euphus was crouching in the ditch. Staring at the signs of recent disturbance on the paths or the side, Brugil seemed slightly bewildered. "Lord Gulo's taking the others east into these woodlands, but I thought that he was going to the Redwall place." Furwool muttered under her breath. "Aye, and I thought we were ordered to go there also." Shard's mate, Frita, clipped the ermine scout's ear sharply. "That not to hear to think. Lord Gulo will wrest all the information he needs from those two. They are from the Redwall fortress. See how they are garbed alike." The white fox captain cut in abruptly. "See scoppling lead on. You scouts, we shall join the mighty Gulo." Shard let them go forward into the trees while he hung back with Frita, whispering to her, "Say not to Gulo or any beast about this." Drawing his cloak back slightly, he revealed the cloth case enclosing Martin's sword, which he had snatched from Armel. The vixen touched her muzzle slyly. "The sword is far too valuable for others to see. It is our secret." Then Shard and his mate proceeded to follow the rest of the vermin gang east into Mossflower. Euphus relaxed. He sat down and took some food from a small wallet he carried on his belt. The vole thief munched on his rations whilst he analysed what he had just witnessed. Euphus often held conversations with himself. He found it easier to think that way. Oh no, the fox was right indeed. Those maids both come from the Abbey. I've seen them myself when I visited there to borrow some of the grand old fruit in the orchard. Sure, they're cunning things, these foxes. I wonder what the big one had under his cloak. Well, no matter. I'll find out this very night when I pays him a visit. But 'tis a bit of shut I am needing now, just to keep me wits sharp after dark. The little thief was never troubled by conscience. In a short time he was snoring like an innocent dibbon, wrapped snugly in the flag, curled up on the ditch bed amid last autumn's leaves, far from the questing vermin. It came as a rude awakening when the point of a claymore tipped his nose. 2 tough-looking squirrels, a hare and a hawk, were standing over him. Ever the quick-witted one, Euphus smiled up at them. "That isn't a grand old day, to be sure, sirs. Don't mind me now. I'll not block your way. Just step over me tired carcass and carry on wherever you're bound." Doogy Plumm hauled him upright. "Oh, you saucy wee maggot, where did you get any flag, eh?" The thief's agile brain was racing as he quickly put 2 and 2 together. He replied glibly, "'Tis not some coloured scrap of cloth you're after. We'll discuss that later on, my friend. I think that you find buckles on the trail of the dreadful-looking beast they calls Mighty Gulo. Sure, there's a fine, half-halting name for any old murderer, isn't it?" Tam smiled at the thief's audacity. "Aye, we'll talk about the flag later. Now, what about this Gulo? Surely you've seen him." Disengaging himself deftly from Doogy's grip, Euphus answered, "Aye, ye be right there, sir. As true as me name's Euphus Lightpaw, I've sighted the villain, him and his whole army of boyos. I'll tell you something else, too. They've got with them 2 prisoners, river rats, and haven't they just captured another 2 poor creatures, an otter and a squirrel like yourself, sir, both maids from the Abbey of Redwall?" Ferdimond's jaw tightened. 2 Redwall maids? The dirty scum! Which way have they gone, Mr. Lightpaw?" The waterfall winked. "If you come with me, sir, I'll show you so well." Before they could stop him, the little thief had bounded out of the ditch, across the path and up into the high branches of the crack willow. Drawing his sickle sword, he danced about on the tree limb, waving the flag and branching his blade. "Put a paw near me, any of ye. I'll let this flag to bits and carve cobs of any beast who tries to get up here. I'm a desperate character. When me first stroked up the wrong way, I'll keep your distance." Tam signalled his friends to stay in the ditch. "Leave this to me, mates." Standing at the foot of the tree, he called up to Euphus. "Listen, friend, we don't mean you any harm. I'd like to have that flag, but there's something of greater importance. We must free the 2 maids from these vermin. They're slayers and they eat the flesh of other creatures. I'd be grateful of your help, Euphus." The waterfall sat down on the branch, shaking his head. "Flesh eating's a terrible wicked thing. I'm no murderer, just a thief. I'll tell you what though, fair exchange is no robbery. I'll give you back your flag and help you get the maids free. But we'll call it a trade, see?" Tam nodded willingly. "That sounds fair enough. But what do you want us to trade with?" Euphus wrinkled his nose coyly. "Sure, I'll throw in this fine curvy sword too. How'd that suit you?" Tam shrugged. "You still haven't told us what you want to trade from us. Tell us what it is." The waterfall dropped to a lower branch. "That's a grand old sword you're carrying, sir. A big straight and with a fine fanciful hilt to it." Doogy scrambled out of the ditch. He wants your sword, Tom. You can't part with that." Turgan hobbled onto the path. "No, give sword, Bell. I kill beast." Ferdinand nibbled at his lip. "But what about the maids?" Euphus pointed at the hare. "Isn't he the wise one now? Give me the sword and you'll be ganning your flag. The lives of the 2 prisoners and me sword into the bargain. Either that or you get no flag, and these cannibals will serve the maids up for supper. Now what's it going to be? Make up your mind." Tam tossed the sword up into the tree. "Here, catch." Euphus caught it neatly by the basket hilt. Then he descended through the branches, grinning. "Aye, that's the stuff. Good beast yourself, sir. So here's your flag and this grand old curved sword. I'll lead you to where the maids will probably be." But Tam had other views on the subject. "No, Euphus, I want you to keep the flag and the curved blade. It's not to my liking. Here's what you must do. Go with my friends Turgan and Ferdinand to the Abbey of Redwall and wait there." The goshawk and the young hare protested. "Yeah, this bird stay with Burl. Kill lots of vermin." "I say, Tam, old lad, can't I come with you, rescuing maids and all that? Bet I'd be jolly good at it, what?" The border warrior would not hear of it. "No, Doogy and I stand a better chance of doing this alone. We don't need Doofus either. The tracks are clear enough. Our mission was to get through to Redwall and warn them of the vermin. I know the Brigadier would like to see us saving the 2 prisoners also. He put me in charge, so that's my decision. Doogy and I'll go after the captives, and you 3 get along to the Abbey. Now go. Surprisingly, the 3 went without further argument. Doogy patted his friend. You're a fine figure command, Tam, but what ails you? Parting with your claymore like that and allowing that scruffy wee rubber to toddle off with your blade and flag. That's no the Rakkety Tam I'm used to. The border warrior drew his dirk, testing its edge. The pan on the blade are safe, mate. Doofus has Ferdy and the goshawk to keep an eye on both my goods and him. Don't fret, Doogy Plumm. 'Twill all work out. Now rid yourself, claymore and shield. Our smaller blades are more fitted to the job ahead. We'll hit the vermin camp when 'tis still and dark tonight. Hiding his sword and shield in the shrubbery, the stout Highlander grinned with anticipation of the action to come. Ho ho, that's more like the Rakkety Tam I know. Clenching their small skin dews in their teeth and holding their dirks ready, both warriors set off into the silent woodlands.